Sure. Again, man, thanks for joining us today on the Zoom. Uh, just a little bit about Rutgers, a recap from the Rutgers game. One, I thought it was a really physical, hard-fought game by our team, by both teams. I thought that we played with great toughness. I thought the team played with great effort. But again, as I said on Saturday, we didn't play very smart. We didn't play with the discipline that's needed to win a competitive game like that. We addressed it with our team yesterday as we put the game behind us. The penalties, the 12 penalties, are the types of plays that good teams don't beat themselves. And, we're not there yet. And it starts with me getting our team to understand that if we ever want to be a good team, we've got to eliminate the self-inflicted wounds that, whether it's turnovers, penalties, just bad play. So that was addressed, and our team understands that good teams can't beat themselves. Now, also in the Rutgers game, there was a play that was brought to my attention in the game by Ami Finau, in which, after the game, when it was brought to my attention, I reviewed the play, and I can tell you I wasn't very comfortable with what I saw from that play. And I brought Ami over on Sunday and addressed that play with him. I can tell you Ami Finau is a great kid. Because of the competitiveness of that game and where it was, I think he made a poor decision. I don't think he did make a poor decision in that play, and it was not the type of play that I condone or that we teach or that we're about here at Maryland. And I had a conversation with Ami about it. I also called Greg Schiano that night and had a conversation with Coach Schiano, who I have great respect for after viewing the play. And I let him know. I said, Greg, that's not who we are. And I want to apologize for the play. And Ami also wanted to apologize. Greg didn't answer when I called, and then he called me back. So we had Ami write a letter to Rutgers, to the quarterback, apologizing that he sent off. I can tell you we're also going to handle some things internally with Ami. He will be suspended for the first half of this game because of that play. Nobody feels more terrible than Ami does, because I can tell you, having been around him, it's not who he is. And even though that play shows it, but I also want to send a strong message that, we're not going to play games that way. We're not going to play and compete that way. And Ami understands this, and our team understands it. I showed the play to our team, and we worked through that along with a lot of other plays that in that game, whether they were penalties or just not good plays by us. So we're able to put that behind us now, and Rutgers is behind us, and Ami will be better for this. And Greg was very understanding, and I apologize to him and the Rutgers program for that play. And again, that's not what Maryland football is all about. Now, with that being said, we get another opportunity to play here in the Shell. It's almost like a do-over for our seniors, a second chance to send them out the right way against a good Michigan State team, a team that has been playing good football here the last 3-4 weeks, and again, a well-coached team. I've known Mel Tucker quite a bit. We've competed against each other when I was at Alabama. He was at Georgia. He spent time at Alabama. Our paths have crossed quite a bit over the years. None of us in the Big Ten were certain how this Big Ten Champions Week would play out. Obviously, we're the one team in the Eastern Division that hasn't played all the teams on our side of the division. So, us having an opportunity to play Michigan State, which we missed out earlier of the year, I know our players are excited about it. We finished our season last year against Michigan State up there in East Lansing, and I think that game kind of became a turning point for our program. And I can remember Keandre Jones, a senior, after the game, really emotional about, we were beat up, we were down some players, but I really thought that was the best effort we'd shown in quite a bit of time last season, finishing up strong. And I think it kind of served as the catalyst as we moved into our off-season program. That game did, and I'm hoping that we can go out and, again, continue to play with the toughness, the effort, but what we need to do is play smarter and, play with more discipline. But, again, it was great effort, great focus, great buy-in by our team that laid the groundwork to where we are today. If you look at Michigan State, they have 2 wins, but again, they both came against teams that were ranked. So this team is going to come in here and they'll be well coached, and they'll compete for 4 quarters, which is what happens when you play in the Big Ten. And so I expect that from Mel and from their team to come in here to the Shell on Saturday, and it'll be a great opportunity again to try to send our seniors out the right way. Before I take questions, since it is a do-over, I'm going to have those 3 senior captains that we had last week lead us out as captains going into the game against Michigan State. So Johnny Jordan, Antoine Richardson, and Jake Funk will again serve as our game captains for the Michigan State game, which will be the last opportunity for them to play here in the Shell. And with that, I'll open it up to questions.
Thanks, Coach. We'll start with Alex Stacy.
Hey, Coach. Thanks for taking a few minutes here. Just have 2 questions, one about personnel and then one more just about the team. So personnel-wise, do you know if you'll have a Talia, Chance, Ruben, Jacorian, or Ace available on Saturday?
As of right now, I haven't addressed or figured out where we are. 1 or 2 of those guys may be available. As of the day, I don't have that information for you.
Okay. And then just about Darrell Chami, I know he had 2 forced fumbles and he looked really active out there on Saturday. What have you liked about his progression, and especially coming back from an injury earlier in the season?
Yeah, I mean, he played kind of what to the expectation we had for him. He started the game against Northwestern and went out early in the game. Obviously, he missed all of last season with the ACL. And those ACL injuries usually are about an 18-month turnaround where you really feel that you're back at full speed. And I think we're right around that time frame of that 18-month window of recovery. And so it was great to see him. He's one of those twitchy, linear athletes that can rush the passer and generate a pass rush, and we've missed that quite a bit. And so to be able to make the plays he made, obviously the strip fumbles, we didn't get our hands on that ball, or those balls. We had the balls on the ground quite a bit in that game, and we weren't able to get turnovers. But it was good to see Darrell kind of really play to the expectation that we had for him going into the season.
We'll go to Lila.
Hey, Lox, how are you?
Hey, Lila.
What has stood out to you the most about the progression of a defense, from that first game of the season, to Rutgers game, being able to hold them scoreless for that half?
You said what has stood out to me?
Yeah, about the progression of a defense from the first game until now.
Well, I think the big thing, and the coaches on that side of the ball, John Hoke and Henry Baker and Brawley Evans and Brian Williams, George Hilo, Coach Zook obviously helps over on that side quite a bit. They've put the players in the best position to execute things that they can execute. And, I think in the Northwestern game and in the Minnesota first half, we were probably a little more zone-oriented in how we wanted to play. And John has made the adjustment, with the way guys like Tarheeb Steele have come on, and Jacorian Bennett, the addition of him, his speed and skill out on the perimeter along with Deontay Banks. We've got some good corners. And to me, when you've got good corners that can match up and play man coverage, it allows you to do what you need to do first and foremost to play good defense, which is stop the run. And it's helped us be able to stop the run, and we played with more aggressiveness and maybe not as conservative or bend not break on the back end from a coverage standpoint. As you can see, even in that last couple of drives against Rutgers, when we did play some zone coverage, that's just not who we are. And our team is a team, I think, because of the type of skill that we recruit, that they enjoy the challenge and competitiveness of playing man-to-man coverage. It forces them to play with more focus and less variables. And it allows us to, again, do the things we want to set out to do on defense, which is stop the run first and foremost. So,
thank you.
Yep.
We'll go to Emily next.
Hey, Mike. I'll be a little more specific here with the question, but is Talia available to practice today or as of now? And how are you planning to split reps at the 1 for the quarterback position this week?
Yeah, Talia isn't available today. Not available for practice today. And right now, like we do with each week, the quarterbacks that we have available, right now, Lance will compete Obviously, we'll make a decision with our quarterbacks based on how they practice and how they perform this week. Eric Nigerian did a tremendous job last week in coming in, and he's earned the right to be a part of the competition here and for the way he played. But, we're not ready to name a starter. We'll get through the week. We'll see. Again, we've got 2 battles every week, and it's COVID and it's our opponent. So as I've said from day one, we're going to need number 1 to 110, and we're using everybody on this roster to help us as we finish the season up.
We'll go to Alif Kareem.
Coach, hope you're doing well.
I am. Thank you for saying that.
Thank you. I can ask you just how COVID has, affected your season, and I'm sure every variation of that question has been asked. The question I had for you was, because of how unique this season was, what did it teach you about yourself in terms of leadership and carrying a program?
Again, as I've said, this year has forced me to not be able to be a creature of habit. As coaches, our practice plans typically are routine, and how you want to practice and prepare. And I can tell you, even going into today's practice, I literally came in and started to do the practice plan, and no practice plan is the same. And whereas in years past, I could take Michigan State practice 1, practice 2 from last year and change the date, and typically that's how it would work. Well, every day I come in starting at 4:30 when, we start getting results back from the day before, and Dr. Rooks is texting or calling me to give me results. That affects how I plan and how we can practice. And you start looking at your depth chart and your numbers, and you start moving pieces over here to figure out how to practice. And so what it's taught me is, I'm a little more creative than maybe I give myself credit for at times. And that, as much as a coach, you say, this is what you need to do to be prepared and win. Sometimes you don't have it. You find out Friday morning at 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock that, the quarterback who took 70%, 60% of the reps in the week is unavailable for the game. And, what am I going to do? Woe is me. And, the sky is falling. And now I project that to my team. No, I got to be the leader of it. And you know what? Next man up. I had COVID. Next man up. Who's going to call the game, or who's going to be the head coach? This is we have a horizontal accountability here, coaches and players. We knew what 2020 was all about. We knew how difficult managing COVID would be, and you deal with the hand you're dealt on a day-to-day basis. And it's forced me to be to really live the mantra of maximizing today, because tomorrow is no promise and you don't know what it'll bring. And so it's really forced me to live it. As much as you say it, I have to live that way right now.
We'll go to Wes Brown.
Hey, Coach. So you obviously talk about how 2020 is a bit different in terms of coaching with COVID and all that going on. With the season being pushed late as well, signing day coming up tomorrow, how difficult is it having to manage both the team and signing day, at the same time, rather than in the past where you at least generally have this week to sort of focus in?
Yeah, it hasn't been as difficult as it may seem, because, one, the class that we'll be signing tomorrow is a class we've been working on for 2 years from the time I got here. So we've been able to get a lot of the legwork and all of the hard work and things that go into recruiting, and for the most part done on the front end. And then what's really probably helped more than anything is, with this dead period that has been created, kids haven't been able to go out, visit other schools, see other programs. And so it's kind of helped schools that have people committed. In years past, you'd be worried guys go to games, they get caught up in the emotions of seeing other teams and being in stadiums and fans and all those things, where a lot of those variables have been taken out of the recruiting process. And so it's all about how your program has the ability to take them where they can't take themselves as football players, as students, and as people. And so it's taken a lot of what I call the fluff out of recruiting. And too many times in recruiting, it's about, well, we have 80,106 strong, and, the whiteout and all the things that really don't matter when it comes to developing you for the next level, if that's what you want to do, earning a strong degree and being around the right people for life after football. And so to me, we've been able to manage it. It hasn't been as hard because we haven't had to deal with, with the dead period. These kids have been pretty much solely focused on us, even though you have the virtual things you can do. Still not the same.
Go to Jacob Steinberg.
Hey, Coach, you mentioned after the Rutgers game and earlier today how you were obviously frustrated by the amount of penalties, and you spoke about the lack of discipline after the game. So I was curious, after watching the film, was there anything else that you can pinpoint that led to a lot of those penalties, whether it was over-aggressiveness or something else like that, or was it strictly just a lack of discipline?
No, I mean, I met with just about every player. Like we had quite a few personal fouls. And, Jay Sean Jones, who is one of our better players, and I think he's had 4 or 5 of those blindside blocks. And so the adage in coaching is you're either coaching it or you're allowing it when it continues to happen. And so I brought Jay Sean in on Sunday night, and he and I had a great meeting, great conversation. I put the plays on, showed him the plays, all the ones he had from the first of the year till the end of the year, the 2 he got in the game, and the one critical. And nobody feels worse than those kids when they make those mistakes. And I've said this before. There's nothing worse for a coach, assistant coach, or a player than to come in on the day after a game and you be the reason that you possibly didn't win the game by your calls or by something that you did in the game. And I don't want that for our kids. And so our job as coaches are to continue to help improve them. And so my meeting with Jay Sean was really productive, where I said, listen, here are the plays you've had. All of these plays are extra effort plays. I mean, this kid plays the game really physical. And I go, my phone call with Greg, he and I both talked how physical a game that game was. We had a lot of bodies on the ground. Guys are, banging, and it was really tough, hard-fought game, kind of like a heavyweight fight. And from that standpoint, and Jay Sean is an effort guy. And so what we've got to do, though, is make sure he understands the rules of the game, which we continue to coach, that you can't go inside from outside the box and blow people up. You can't do it anymore. You used to be able to do it. And so some of those penalties he got, I think they were effort penalties. Now, the penalties and the things I'm most disgusted about, and our team knows, is we're not going to be a team that talks and chirps and to the other team. And we had too much of that. And we've got a couple of penalties, in the game where guys are talking and pushing after the play. That's not anything close to how these guys here know that that's not what I'm about. We play the next play. We want to, when that play is over, you get the neutral and play the next play. And we just had too much chirping and chippiness, and some of those penalties, the extra stuff at the end of plays, are the ones that really bothered me. So I addressed it with our team. I don't expect to see that out of our team and moving forward, and we'll keep continuing to coach them through it.
Thank you, Coach.
Yeah.
Go to Ed Lee.
Hypothetically speaking, if Talia
we don't do hypotheticals, Ed. Come on. All right, go ahead.
If Talia were to miss practice all week, could he still start on Saturday, or would you be more comfortable going with someone like Eric, who's been in practice all week?
Man, that's a tough one. That's why I don't answer hypotheticals. Here's what I would tell you. We have a rule around here that you have to practice a certain amount of practices to be able to play. And so every day I wake up and I find out whether somebody's able to play or not play due to COVID, due to injury, due to whatever. That's how I put the practice plan together. So if hypothetically speaking, you have to practice a certain amount of practices during the week. I'm not one of those coaches that believes you can just go out and play a guy that didn't practice all week and he be a gamer. I don't want to put my job on the line with, hoping that a guy plays well. I like to see it on tape that he can execute and know our game plan. Now, are there players that are 4-year veterans that know our system, that we've been here for 2 years and they know our system and he's banged up and we limit them? Yeah, I'm good with that. But to just not practice and show up and play, no, we wouldn't do that.
And then you mentioned how this is a Michigan State team that has beaten 2 ranked opponents. As a coach, would you feel more comfortable if you had the 4 starters that didn't play Saturday back available for this game?
I play with the guys that are available for me to play, and we'll continue to have that mindset even without those 4s. I told our team it was not the 4 players that were not available to play that cost us the game. We had every opportunity to win the game on the field with the players we had available, and it was us and not playing with the discipline or the effort that we need to play with that determined the outcome of that game. So, no, You know, we missed 24 players in the Indiana game, and that's not why we lost the game. So, again, as I told you, it's usually going to start and end with how what we do and not what our opponents do.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thanks, Coach.
Thank you very much.